Sweet. Awesome. Great. So thank you again for coming, everyone. My name is Dustin. For the new folks who are here, we got Jason's Champagne coming in. So today I want to talk about, or I'm going to do a demo on the Divi presets, and then after that, we're going to open it up for any questions and answers you might have about Divi or Divi presets or whatever it might be. So, Jason, we see you here. Thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. I decided to sit in and check you guys out again. I enjoyed being on it last time. So
perfect. Yeah, happy to have you here. So yeah, good timing. I'm just ready to start the demo. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Great. Feel free to just interrupt me. I can't see you guys while I'm sharing my screen. So yeah, feel free to cut me off. So just a quick preamble to what Divi presets are. If you're familiar with any CSS at all, there's things called IDs and classes, and those are often used to broadly style certain things or common elements on a website. And so Divi presets is kind of using that same concept, as we can apply a set of styles to common elements. And whenever we change those styles, it will reflect throughout the entire website. So in essence, it's a huge time saver and it's extremely efficient. So when this was introduced, I was so glad. In fact, Divi presets is an iteration on the global preset option, which they used to have. They've done away with it. Before, there used to be like this little globe icon and sticking outside. It was like a tag to the module panel that pops up. They got rid of that and converted everything into Divi presets. So we just dive in. Divi presets is available for just about everything here inside of Divi. If we were to edit a section settings here, we'll see right under what the panel here is called section settings, it says preset and it's set to default. When we click on it, we can start adding new presets. We can create presets from current styles, or we can edit anything that has already been established. So like I said, anything that can pretty much be edited here in Divi is going to have a set of presets that we can define for our website. So again, just emphasizing, this is what saves time for your website. The question is, how do you know when to set a preset, right? Well, for me, if I know it's going to be a common element or a common design throughout the website, and I don't want to go through the same steps over and over, I'm going to set a preset. So for example, actually, let's just use the row here. I'm going to edit the default preset. So I'm not going to create a new preset. I'm just going to add the default, because when it comes to sizing of the row, I want things a little wider than the default 80% and a max width of 1080. So I usually like to bump this up so it's a little more modern, might be a way to say that. And then while I'm in here establishing defaults for my row, I also want to change things up for mobile and tablet as well. And so 90% I think is good. I like it a little wider even for mobile and tablet, just because having it really wide just feels more of the screen on smaller screens. So we get kind of a bit more content in there. And so as we just see our little preview here, our content goes nearly to the edge, and that's what I like with my designs, is a little wider. And so by using this preset, editing my preset, I only have to do this once. So every new row I create, I can set this But what's really nice is if I am going along and I decide, oh, this is actually a little too wide. This is really wide. So I can set my default, come back and edit my default again and say, for my sizing on desktop, I want a max width of 1400 pixels. That's just a good standard for me to work within, and people who are really big browsers or even on laptops, this is just a consistent experience I can guarantee at 1400. And so now I can just define that, and every row will conform to the preset, right? But let's take it a step further and say we want a row that is a little more narrow because it has like quote text in it. So we'll just give this some quick styling for our example here. So we have a big quote, but we don't want it full width. We want it to be a little more narrow. We want it to have some style, a bit more of a call out to it. And so we'll come back to click on our row. We'll go to preset and we'll click add new preset. And we'll give this a name. It can be whatever you want. And let's just call it quotes, block quotes, whatever you want. Okay. And so now we can set some presets for this and say for sizing, I want it to be 66% of the standard. Type here. And we need some spacing on the sides. And we'll just add a background. And we'll just do a regular color. This is something simple. Don't want to spend a ton of time with that here. But now you can start to see some of what we can do. So now if I were just to add a regular new row, add a contact form, it starts to inherit our default, which is above, right? But I can click on the row. I can say, oh, I want this to be my block quote. Starts to match. But I really don't like that background color. So now we're going to edit an existing Divi preset. And we're going to do that by clicking on the pencil icon, which I feel is a little confusing because if I were to click on the cogwheel, it would just allow me to change the name or assign it as the default preset. So we have to click on the pencil to edit the preset. And we're going to change the background to a trustworthy blue color. And you could see live that both rows changed with that single change, which is now demonstrating the power of Divi presets. And that's exactly what we want, is we want things to change in an instant. So we don't have to go page by page, element by element to correct any of this stuff. Let's add another row. Buttons are another common element that we're going to see throughout our websites. We could have dozens of buttons for whatever reason on our website. And so usually in my design process, as soon as I add a button, the first thing I'm going to do is define my button preset, my default button preset. Okay. I'll just do a really quick design here, show you guys some of the things here. And just a quick note, when you are doing button presets, you want to check this use custom styles for buttons. If this isn't checked in your default, any new button you add will never show the styling until you actually go and enable this. Otherwise, it's just going to use default styling from the theme customizer. So check this and it'll always load your custom design that you're going to put in here. Stick with our blue color. Did that backwards. I want white text. Border width, that depends on what I want to do with that. So I think this is pretty simple as it is. So this is our default button. We'll save that. Depending on the button, depending on its prominence on the website, I might want to have a button but not have it, or have a design that's not so call to action like, maybe a little more subdued. So I'm just going to duplicate this, and from right here, so it's loading in our preset, our default preset, right? I'm just going to right away go ahead and change the design. I'm just going to invert the color styles here. So blue text, white background with blue border. And so this is kind of my secondary button style, right? Everything else I like, it's just an inverted style. So now I'm going to go up to preset, and I'm going to click create new preset from current style. And now I'm just going to call it like inverted blue button. Again, you can name it whatever you want, just as long as it's easy for you to recall and easy to understand which preset you're going to enable. Okay. So now once I do that, it's going to also give me the option to create presets around this new style if I want, but I've already done that. We've created a new style from the existing styles. And so I'm just going to check yes, yes, and there we go. And so again, now I can just always come back and I can edit a preset, or if I'm on a current preset, and let's say like I make a change here and I decide I really like that change, I want it for all of my buttons. So let's just do that real quick. So let's just go to the font. Let's just make it bold. I like bold. Button text. Let's take out some letter spacing. Say, so this is a change. I did it on the fly, but I'm like, oh shoot. I want to make that same change to my preset. I can come here, hover over my current preset that's there, and then there's this kind of square arrow icon. When I click that, it'll update the preset with current styles. So now I can do that, and away we go. So pretty simple. Definitely, I think this is the power of Divi Presets, is just being able to go through it, and if you know it's going to be a common element throughout your website, create a preset. Only do the work once, and you only touch it once. If you have to make a change, totally fine. Just update your preset, and then it will cascade throughout the website. So pretty simple. There is one scenario that things can happen where you create a bunch of elements, and gotta let someone in here. You create a bunch of elements and you're like, you know, I really should have just created a preset, but you've gone through and you've got a bunch of existing styles. And so let's see if I can replicate that here really quick. So I'm going to change some presets really quick. Doesn't look great, but I've modified away from the default, okay? And I want to change it to my inverted blue button, okay? So I have the preset inverted blue. We can see the only change here is the blue border because that was unique to that specific button. And so that's the only change here. And we're probably thinking, why is my preset not showing? Why is this not working? I enabled the preset. Well, that's because anything here in our purple design settings here is overriding our preset. Okay, so the preset is going to be secondary to anything you can do here in the purple settings. Okay, it's very important. Okay, so even though we have a preset enabled, we can modify it, we can tweak it to be a little more specific to the exact placement or setting of whatever we're modifying for that preset, and it won't impact the preset or other elements that have the same preset, which is nice. But here we're like, well, I changed the preset. I would rather have the preset. All we need to do is come up and click on the three dots, the vertical ellipsis, and we're just going to come down and we're going to select Reset Module Styles. Most of the time that will work. Sometimes I find this feature doesn't work and it's kind of annoying. So what you have to do is come in and just hover over the different settings that have been modified. And we're going to look for this little arrow icon, the kind of undo icon, and we'll check that. So it undoes it all the way back to our preset. We'll do that for the color. And we'll just kind of go through and just check to see if there's anything here that has that undo icon. And then we're kind of back to where we want to be for our inverted blue button. Okay. So there we go. We've undone all of our modifications, and we are 100% relying on our inverted blue button preset. So there you go. That's a super quick demo, but before I show you anything else or answer any other questions, do you guys have questions about presets?
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
That I noticed it didn't change the button in that form above, whatever that submit form button. What's the easiest way to apply that button preset that you were working on into that form?
That's a great question. So let me share my screen again real quick, and we'll go back to that. So Eric's referring to this submit button in our contact form module. And depending on the module, if it has a button like this, it's something very specific, and we can't just copy button styles. But if it has the same elements of a button, which this looks like it does, so we should be able to copy button styles from our regular button module, come back to our contact form, click on button, and then on the vertical dots here, we'll click paste button styles. Didn't look like it worked. Sometimes it can, but usually it's always because the module itself is specific or too specific to borrow styles from a different module, such as the button. So we would have to customize this as well, while at the same time creating a preset. So, Michael, you have a question?
Yeah, is it possible to export presets for use on other sites or store them in the new Divi Cloud?
You can't export just presets on their own. You would have to save the module itself. So we would save the button to the library. We would export from the library our button module that we just saved. And then when we go to import it, there's going to be an option to import presets. So
along with the module.
Along with the module, yep. So here's just as an example, if we're to import a layout using the portability settings in Divi, there's this option to import presets, and we would check that so that whatever the module is that we're bringing through, we'll also get the presets as well.
Okay.
Something I have noticed with modules or anything that has a preset, it won't replace anything that's here already. It just will add to it. And so if you're like me and you just don't rename the default presets, but you're modifying them, then you're going to get a whole slew of presets that are all named the same, but they might say copy or _2, or try to do something to make it unique, which you're going to get a whole bunch of them added in there if you're importing a bunch of different portability items into your website.
So the tip there would be just to make sure I'm using unique names anytime I create a preset.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I think they'll go a long ways. So, Ardell, you got a question?
Yeah. So you're on a page and you have something created in a preset, and you want to tweak it. So you make some changes to that. Now, does that change that particular preset everywhere on the website?
No. So
it's just that one specific one.
Yes. So let's use our 2 rows here, for example. Right
Okay.
now, they're using the preset, but one of them, I want it to, we'll just change the background color. That's easiest right now. So we'll just change the background color, okay? So it still has our block quote preset that we had set before, which has the blue background,
Mhm.
but we've changed the green. We changed this one to be a green background, okay?
Right.
But the other one is not affected by that. This is
Okay.
just an isolated specific case where we're like, I like everything else about this preset, except I want this one little change. And I don't want that one little change applied everywhere else. I just want it here.
Okay.
So you can do that. And that's,
Sorry,
ahead.
can you change all of or any other thing? Is there anything that you can't change about it that because it would affect the others?
no.
Is there,
So,
you can change anything about that one particular one?
so yeah, to clarify again, when we go to edit this row, which has
Mhm.
our block quote preset,
Right.
when we're seeing the purple row settings, right, we can
Right.
change everything about it and it'll only affect this one specific row.
All right. Okay.
Okay. If we want to change the actual preset, we need to click up here where it says preset block quote. We're going to
Uh-huh.
come down, hover over it, and click on the pencil icon.
Okay.
And then it flips over and now it's gray. When we're seeing the gray row preset settings, anything we change here will apply to any other row that has the same preset selected.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So it'd be a good idea to go and check each one, make sure that it doesn't create a problem in any particular page.
I think if you're unsure, then yes.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it in this gray preset settings,
Mhm.
if you're seeing it here, you're going to see it instantly on the page. Okay. With anything else that's using it. Right. And I think because it's so intentional to come here, click preset, and I can't get out of presets necessarily unless I like click on preset again. So I have to click here, click on the pencil icon. It has to flip around. Like that process is so intentional that I would find it hard to have it be an accident to affect everything else throughout the website. But yeah, so 2 different things. You can edit individually when it's purple, or you can edit the preset itself when it flips over and turns gray.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
If there's nobody else with their hand up, I've got another question about buttons. I'm about to go onto D2D's Smashwords and get a universal book link for now. I did go into the Creative Academy for Writers and look at one of their books, and on the page for that the universal book link takes them to, it's got, you know, audio, ebook, paperback, hardcover, and then all of the links, all of the symbols for the various, you know, Cobalt, Amazon, all that sort of thing. And I'm just wondering if, okay, if on your landing page, you really want your buttons to be pretty prominent, but would you put the universal book link only, and then that would take you to the page where all the links are for that particular book? I wonder if you need to label each one of the universal book links for that particular book. Like maybe the icon could be the cover of that book or the title.
I think I'm trying to understand what a universal book link is and why there's more than one.
Well, the universal book link is it's a service by D2D and Smashwords where you enter in the ISBN or the title of your book, and it searches everywhere that it's for sale, all of the links, and because there could be hundreds basically, right?
Okay.
And so it brings it into this universal book link. So you put that universal book link in your ads and everywhere
Uh-huh.
that you want for that particular book.
Okay.
And so if a buyer or a reader clicks on that, it will take them to a page where all of the links for the various formats are listed. And then they, wherever they want, what if they want to buy an audio book, but they want to buy it from Scribd instead of Audible, then they click on their favorite vendor, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a universal book link is. They've been offering it for quite a while, but I've just gotten around to the point where I'm about to get it. It's a free service, but it sort of simplifies your spreadsheet of links that you have to keep checking to make sure that they're still working and all of that.
Mm-hmm. In that case, I would probably use the universal book link and have it direct to the resource where someone can pick where they want to purchase the book.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like that would be the easiest, especially if things are constantly changing and you only have to manage one link rather than a whole bunch.
So you'd probably put the title of the book in the button?
So button text would just depend. Accessibility standards indicate that it needs to be descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something as see more buying options for book title.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's descriptive and it's a clear call to action, right?
Yeah.
Buying
Because
options.
the button is the one you were demoing, just a click here.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of information to put on a button.
It can be, but it makes the buttons unique. It makes them a lot more clear as to what you want your potential customers to do. And so I wouldn't hesitate too long. I wouldn't make it like a paragraph length type button, but if it's a few words, see buying options here, or seeing buying options for, the name of the book, then I would say that's reasonable. And you're achieving a few different things, right? You're achieving the accessibility preference by having something descriptive. You're helping Google understand what that link is by telling them, if someone was to click on it, where they would go or what it's for. And lastly, for anyone who's actually reading the page, considering buying, there's enough text there that they won't hesitate because they know what's going to happen when they click on it. They're going to see buying options, right?
Yeah, it seems to me you recommended that you put your buy links pretty close to the top on your welcome page or landing page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all kinds of content strategies, page layout strategies, but definitely if someone is there with the intent to buy, then you don't want to make them scroll forever to see the buying recommendations. They can keep scrolling to learn more, read descriptions and like key takeaways, pros and cons. Like they can scroll to read all that, but if they're there to see like the top three, definitely, put the top three at the top of the page.
I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, never mind. Go on with someone else. I'll think of it.
Good question though, Ardell. Thank you. Anyone else have some questions, or we can, go back over Divi presets if you have other things.
I thought of it. The button could be a preset, right? For each book. Yep. Okay. That was my question.
Well, let me Let me just check something real quick before I
You
speak.
could have a button, a separate preset for each button for each book.
So you could, if each book had like its own style. However, you can't set content presets. Typically, depends on the preset, for say a button. So here I've enabled the button preset. And when I click on content, there's nothing here, meaning I can't set a link, a specific link or button text for this button preset. I can only set the design specifically. When I come out of editing the preset is when I get all the content options back and I can set the text, the link, and the label. Okay. So if your intentions were to create a button that had the universal book link in it and just have that as the preset so you never had to think about it again, then that will not work because the preset does not support any text or link options for the button. Okay.
As the button would take you. It's it's the wrong term. Maybe it should be a link to another page on my website.
Well, either way, the preset can't handle a link. So you can't set a link inside the preset. Okay.
Okay.
However, what you can do, and this is an option as well, this is more of an original Divi option that's been around for a while. And that is just saving a button module to the library and making it a global option. So let's say you did create a button that had a universal button link and all of that. When we click on our more options here, there's an option here at the top that says save to library.
Mm-hmm.
And our options here, one of them is save as global. Okay. When I click that, and I don't know why this is all the way at the top of the page. Let's try again. Save to library. Okay. So let's just say this is our book one button. Okay. We're going to save it as a global button.
Right.
Okay. And we'll save to library. Great. So now, if you're familiar with global elements inside of Divi, it gets a new color. It's this lime green color when we hover over it. That means that this has been saved as a global element. Any changes we make to it will be applied anywhere this global element is on the website. Okay. Okay. So everything's lime green now, but we can set button text like this. We can define a link. Okay. All of that. So now, we've changed this. Now let's just add another button and pull in our global button that has this link. Okay. So we'll go insert a new module, and we're going to come up here at the top to the right of new module. We're going to click add from library.
Right.
And in our library, our Divi library, we're going to see our newly added book one button. It's got this global lime green world here to indicate it's a global element. So I'm going to click on it and we'll use this module. Great. So now if I were to edit this, I'll still see all the same button text. Our homepage link is in there. It's all the same. But let's just change it really quick. Let's make it let's do our white text still. We'll just make it a red button. Okay. Boom. So now we've changed it, just the design. But let's say we want to change this to
book two.
Book two. Well, this is book one. Okay, this is a book one button that we've added. Okay, so we're going to say book one button text like that. And when I save it, the other one updated as well. Okay, So this is, it's like presets, but it's different because we've saved this specific button to the library. We saved it as a global button. So anytime we add this button, it's going to pull in button text, button link, and anything else that we've set up about this button, and it'll apply everywhere else throughout the website. So for you, with what you're looking for, is defining a button that has a universal book link in it and text. You can set that here, save it to the library, make it global, and then just refer to it anytime you want that button.
But can you save any number of buttons?
Yep.
And make
Sure
them global? Can. So I could save a button for book 1, book 2, book 3.
Yep.
And so whenever I wanted to put that button in a particular place, I just have to, and it would change globally if I changed it, but only for that particular button, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So I can save as many buttons as I want to the library.
Sure
Got
can.
it. All right. There we go.
Cool. Sweet. Any other questions? Maybe.
Well, this is a small tip.
Yeah, go for it. The pro himself.
So about the links, you briefly actually showed it, Dustin, when you used a dynamic link on one of the buttons. So the Divi button URL content there has the ability to link to a specific page. So I would, as a best practice, use that dynamic link to your book page, for example, so that if that for whatever reason your page changes the URL or anything about that page changes, it will automatically update that link URL dynamically. If that makes sense. It's just a foolproof way to not have to update links throughout your site.
Is that kind of like relative versus absolute paths?
Kind of, in a way. So if you're familiar with the way WordPress works, every page or post you create is assigned an ID into the database. And Divi Presets looks at the ID and then pulls the slug for that page. And so if the slug were to change, like we were to change it from top 12 webinar software for 2021, we want to update it to 2022, we wouldn't have to go and change URLs throughout the entire website because Divi presets, or sorry, dynamic content, in this case dynamic links, it would see that change because it's referencing the ID in the database, not the URL specifically.
Okay, I think I understand that. Thank you.
But I would also definitely agree with your strategy to set up your presets initially, like before you start building your website, and come up with kind of like a style guide, which we kind of pushed in our blog on the Elegant Themes blog. We came up with some preset style guides based on certain layout packs that we released for this purpose, to just kind of promote the idea that you create your own kind of style guide for your website using presets, and then saving that, and then using that as a base, basically almost like a replacement of a child theme design, basically, for the rest of your build and all of your pages. So it's kind of like a great first step when you're thinking about if you do have an idea of what your design is going to be like. to create that style guide with all those presets first, and then go ahead and start building out your pages and everything. Because the thing, like, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, in my case, that ship has sailed long ago. We're in revision.
Sure. So, like, for to update an existing page or layout, theoretically, you could, if your site does have a consistent design, like all buttons have the same kind of style and colors are being used throughout, you could, you know, start to create a preset according to the existing design, and you know, start to, you know, implement that throughout your site. I'm not sure how easy that is to extend presets yet, but hopefully we'll get there.
So yeah, with what Jason was saying, Ardell, definitely, even though you've got styles defined already, you can start to establish your presets based on current styles. And rather than duplicating buttons all the time or rows or anything that you've already designed but don't want to do it again, you can just set a preset for it rather than duplicating it and then dragging it and dropping it to be where you want it to be. Can kind of help streamline the effort that way as well. And then, so Jason, Michael has a question in the chat. You might be the best one to answer that. If there's a newer or better resource than what he found there.
I'm looking now.
Cool.
Setting up a global preset style guide for your net. Yes, exactly. So that would be a great starting point for before you actually start building out your pages and your site.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought of that before. So having a style guide to start is going to make a huge difference. I assume in keeping everybody on the same page style-wise, right? That's the point of the style guide.
Exactly, and it keeps you
okay.
honest and consistent and foolproof going through. You know, it gets a bit tedious sometimes when you're adding the same module over and over, and you want a quick way to just kind of carry that same design over and over. Yeah, it's a huge time saver if you take the time to set it up.
Sure. All right. Thanks for the tip.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Cool. Before I forget, I do need to get a quick screenshot of all of us here for the Elegant Themes blog. So if you have a camera and you're willing to turn it on for a quick second, I will fire up my screenshot tool here. Awesome. On the count of three, give me your best smile. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You guys look great. Thanks so much. Yeah, well, we got a few more minutes. Do you guys have other questions or comments? Anything website related?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where do you set like the global link color and hover color or whatever for your Divi site?
That's Theme Customizer. So let me share my screen again. Jump over there. So let's want to show this. Let me just add a quick text module, and we'll give this a link so we can see it. Okay. So let's save this page. We'll jump out of it, and then we'll fire up the Theme Customizer tool. So the way to get the Theme Customizer, one of the ways is just hovering over your name in your admin bar and then selecting Theme Customizer at the bottom. And if we come to General Settings, Typography, and then all the way down at the bottom, we have some default settings, one of them being body link color. This is definitely what you're going to be looking for to edit things that are kind of outside of Divi, things like WooCommerce, for example. There's like the events calendar. There's just a few other plugins that rely on the Divi default theme options here for like button style or link color. It's going to refer to this, and Divi can't necessarily touch it itself, and so you have to come here to make those changes. So you can change the link color. You can see that live, and then also we back out, come to buttons. We have button style as well. We can set that here, and this will impact like default button styles for WooCommerce or the events calendar, things like that that are relying on default theme settings for that style, but not necessarily something Divi can touch itself inside the page builder. So, does that answer your question, Eric?
Where was a hover color?
Oh, the hover color for links. I don't think
Yeah.
there is one actually.
Okay.
So, but there is one for buttons. Buttons hover style.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
And those settings were under published. Did I see that correctly?
It's under Theme Customizer.
Theme Customizer. Okay, good.
Yep. So yeah, there's two ways you can get to it. One is from the admin bar. When you're looking at the front end of the site, just hover over the name of the website, and that drop down's at the bottom. Or if you're in the back end, it's going to be under Divi, and then you'll see Theme Customizer there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, last minute questions. Otherwise, yeah, I think that kind of wraps us up for our meetup today.
Thank you for doing this. This is great.
Thanks, Dustin.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you guys for coming.
I'm just about to update my website, so this brings it all, into the immediate memory.
Great.
It has a tendency to fall out.
Yeah, put it to practice right away. That's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So I have a question for you guys. Probably in a couple months when we do another kind of Q&A session, is there a feature in Divi that you would like to see demoed, like we did with Divi Presets? Is there something else that you would like to have reviewed, even if we've done it before? If you feel it's a weak spot, happy to go over it again.
And enhancing the headers so that they're more interesting. And just
like the navigation bar at the top.
Well, when you open up your website, it's just a blank bar across the top of color. You can't seem to put anything in there that's interesting, like logos and photographs and slideshows and stuff like that.
So you're referring to like the hero section, not the navigation that has like the logo and nav links. You're referring to the section right below it that might have images and bigger text or buttons and things like that.
Your title, your title banner at the top.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can.
You have a look at my website and you'll see what I mean. It's very drab.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for the suggestion. Jan, do you have one?
Yeah, I had a question. I have some plugins that I don't know where they came from, and I'm afraid to delete anything, but I don't know what some of them are.
Okay.
So maybe we could do that.
Okay. So we could do a plugin review a
Yeah,
little
that'd be
bit. All right. Sounds good.
I have one on. Have you done the global colors and save colors, recent colors?
Oh, we haven't done that. That would be good. Be another.
Does that ever reset for anybody? Like you change the colors and saved or whatever, and then it resets back to the default, and or the global colors. You set something, and sometimes it just erases all of them or changes it to transparent. Does that happen to anybody else or just me? Okay, just
No, you are not alone. I think we are aware of certain bugs with the colors system that we're working on. There are ways to do it, but I think because of all of the different options that are available with like right click and hopefully our new documentation will help clarify some of those issues. But I do hear you.
Are you with Divi?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have one more thing then.
Oh, Jason, we're going to have a long conversation.
On the colors, like the saved or global, on a global color, if you set a transparency on one of the colors, it really messes it up and it creates a whole bunch of, like it's as if somehow the comma is a delimiter within the code. And then when you change it to transparency, it introduces commas into the color code. So then it gets messed up and there's like 16 global colors that show up versus the standard 8 or something like that. It's unusual and I can't undo it because there's no way to access that anymore. So my global colors on one side is completely trash simply because I chose to switch to a transparent, semi-transparent color.
I think I heard about that happening.
Okay.
And I think it had something to do with have you been able to successfully go in and, because you know, like with each, there's like your default color panel or palette, your saved colors.
Yeah, I think this was with the global colors.
Right.
Once I set it and it got off, it's parsed wrong or whatever. There's no way to change it again.
Are you not able to click edit global colors, the link?
Yeah, it won't. Like you can click edit, but then you can't really edit any of the colors. There's just too many. There's more dots that show up than the standard, whatever it is, 8 or something colors that you normally have access to. It actually goes beyond that, and it's like there's probably like 16 or something colored little choices, of which they're all transparent in some shade, and I can't change any of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at it, and I guess just I don't know if you can contact me through my get back to me.
Jason, do you
I'll
happen
get back
to have
to you if I can.
Do you have your own forum area where people can post their issues? I mean, obviously, communicating directly with Elegant Themes is not feasible for a lot of us who are experiencing the still not fixed Divi issues. And I know this is not the webinar that we should discuss this. So I'm just curious what kind of power do you have that we can tell you somewhere else, so we're not taking advantage of the people's time here.
Yeah, I'm okay with sharing contact at jasonchampagne.com. So if you use that email, I can't guarantee that I can always help. but that would be the best way to contact me directly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just put it in here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I really want to look into that global color issue too, because it's bothering me. But yeah.
Nice. Sweet. Well, thanks for the suggestions on what we could do. And Jason, thanks for coming. Kind of help answer some other questions I'm not qualified to answer.
Is Jason, you've stopped recording, right, Dustin?
I will. Give me a second.